Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and start with the first lesson. It's on sound theory. So, what I want from this is to take notes on something like Google Doc or Microsoft Word or something, and then if you can upload it to um, the notes assignment on Canvas, then you'll get full credit for it. And typically, um, if it's on the screen, that's probably what you would want to write down. You don't have to do it word for word, but just make sure you know the ideas. So, sound theory, sound is energy that travels through air. So, we're breaking it down to the very fundamentals of what sound is. Simply, it's energy that travels through air. When something vibrates like a drum, it affects the air around it, contracting and expanding, changing the air pressure. Sound wave reflections. This is how sound moves through the air like waves moves through water in all directions from one source. Okay, let's go on. Acoustic reflections with source. Sound travels in an omnidirectional pattern. That means from every angle. Omnidirectional means from every angle from the source. The microphone placed in front of the source will also get the reflections off the surrounding surface. This is one of the reasons why in studios you have diffusion and baffles and sound absorption, bass traps, things like that. Because a lot of times we want to minimize those reflections while we're recording. A wave is a longitudinal pressure wave of audible and inaudible sound. Okay, so this is a representation of sound waves. Okay, see how it's. I mean, this is supposed to be like a speaker or something, but it would be coming out from every direction. Let's talk about the crest and trough. This is how we hear. Okay. It's actually to do with our body. So the tympanic membrane in our ear is very much like a speaker, okay, reacting to the variations in air pressure as our brain interprets sound. So if you can picture how a speaker moves back and forth inside of our ear, it has like the opposite effect. Also, your element of your microphone has that same moving back and forth motion. It's basically like a speaker in reverse as well. So you can actually make a microphone, and we may do this out of a speaker, like for a sub kick, for a kick drum. You can take like a 10-inch speaker and reverse the polarity on it, and that will make it into essentially a microphone. Okay, let's go to the next one. So our sound wave right here, crest is the high point, trough is the low point. The distance from a crest to another crest, one full cycle, one full wave cycle. That's what's called a cycle. So sometimes I'll say in later videos, I may say 440 hertz. That means that's how fast these is how fast the cycles go through. So in a certain amount of time, there's 440 cycles of the crest and trough back to crest. So for that reason, a lot of times you could say, instead of 440 hertz, 440 cycles, or when I'm talking about different points in the frequency spectrum, I may say 1,000 cycles or 1,000 hertz. They're interchangeable. All right, let's talk about speed. In normal atmospheric conditions, sound transfers through the air relatively slowly, at the rate of about 1,120 feet per second. So frequency is the number of times a wave completes a cycle in 1 second. Frequencies are expressed as hertz. That goes into what I was saying before. 440 cycles means we have 440 times in 1 second. 440 hertz means the same thing. And that's just how frequency is expressed. So 440 hertz is the A note commonly used for tuning. So if you're a guitar tuner, a lot of times everything's set up for 440 hertz. All right, let's talk about pitch. Pitch is a specific fundamental frequency within our system of tonality. The human hearing range is 200 hertz, or 200 cycles, to 20 kilohertz, or 20,000 cycles. We use a 12-tone system, meaning 12 notes per octave. Okay, here's a visual representation of some different instruments and what their frequency range is. So, for instance, your voice, a human voice frequency range, this is just, generally speaking, the voice will vary, depending on your range. But a typical voice could be anywhere from 73 hertz to about 988 hertz or cycles. Your bass guitar, for instance, goes all the way down to about 30 hertz and will go up to about 440 hertz at the high end. If you're talking about, say, a piano, which I saw piano on here, but it might not be. Well, let's take a harpsichord, for instance. Here's piano. See, piano is the biggest frequency range, from 28 hertz all the way to 395 hertz. That's why you can play a whole symphony on a piano, basically, because it has all the frequency range. But if you're doing string instruments or horns or woodwinds, like here, you see you have to stack multiple instruments on top of each other to get those frequency ranges. Okay. All right, next, wavelength. This is a physical distance in air from the beginning of one cycle to the beginning of the next cycle. So basically just the distance, So hertz is how many cycles in 1 second. Wavelength is the actual distance from one cycle to the next cycle. Amplitude is the amount of energy in a specific sound wave. Okay. This can be measured. Okay. So you see the amplitude rating for this red one is about 20. Okay. For the green one, it goes up to about 60. And you can see the crest and the trough will always mirror each other in a linear wave, symmetrical wave. High amplitude goes all the way up to 100 on this representation. It goes down all the way up to 100. Okay, so the bigger the wave basically looks, the higher the amplitude. Let's talk about loudness. Loudness, the attributes of auditory sensation in terms of which sounds can be ordered on a scale extending from quiet to loud. The Fon scale is used for this measurement. Here is a chart representing different loudness curves. So if you look at this curve, it's the curve for the average threshold of human hearing. And it's measured in in decibels, basically. Okay. Um, so the intensity of loudness is measured in decibels. The maximum sensitivity region for human hearing is around 3 to 4 kilohertz and is associated with the resonance of auditory canal. And that's about 30. So when you start to perceive something as loud, it's around 100 decibels is what perceived loudness is. And you can read through all that. Tinnitus or tinnitus, some people call it either, is a condition that a lot of musicians, audio people, and different career paths have. But in this class we stick towards production and audio and music. So it manifests itself as permanent ringing or roaring in the ears. I'll tell you my experience with tinnitus from playing a lot live from my early teens to today, and then also working for live sound in the studio, around loud drums, obviously live sound. You're around loud PA speakers, and going to a bunch of concerts. I didn't start wearing ear protection in those live situations. I still don't when I play like guitar live or an instrument live.